written in the West, even up till the 20th century, the wordings would be mankind. For example, it would be said the history of mankind. So the language that was used was language around the man. It's only now in the 21st century that people are trying to stop saying, for example, chairman and say chairperson. But Quran, which came in 612 AD, at that time it spoke to both men and to women at the same time. Moreover, the Quran gave women rights that were unheard of in most parts of the world until recent times. The Quran gave women the right to divorce, it gave women the right to child custody, it gave women right to alimony. So there are many rights that women got within the Islamic world long before. Now, people still think somehow that Islam keeps women backwards, and the reason they think this is because they look at Muslim societies and they see that in Muslim societies women are generally oppressed and repressed. But I don't think this has to do with Quran. I think this has to do more with the fact that the tribal system reasserted itself and that the traditions reasserted themselves in male-dominated society. So I always urge young people, especially young women, that they must start reading the holy book of the Muslims for themselves to realize that what a great religion of emancipation this was when it came at a time when the rest of the world was living in the dark ages, when women were totally subjugated, and the Quran gave women rights that were unheard of till the 20th century. I mean, till, from 612 AD to the 20th century, we're talking about a millennium and a half. So it's tragic that while the European or the Western societies have moved forward and implemented the reforms that Islam gave in 612 AD to women, the people in the Muslim world seem to have regressed back to the dark ages. And for me, the solution really lies in education and more education and more education, so people apply their own critical judgment when reading the holy book to determine the values that are truly being taught.
How can women in one Muslim nation support women in another Muslim nation?
Well, women can support each other by getting together and discussing the issues. Now, as Prime Minister of Pakistan, I thought it was very important for Muslim women to get together and discuss the important issues of the time. And for this purpose, I called a Muslim Women's Parliamentarian Conference. This was based on the International Parliamentary Union, which brings together parliamentarians from all over the world to discuss the issues, for example, as human rights or environment. So I thought it's important for women to get together. There are many legislations which refer to women, and if we can share our experience across different continents and learn about what each country is doing, then I think we will enrich the women's movement within the Muslim world, and we will gain strength by building a greater consensus between different countries and between different societies on the direction that Muslim women ought to be taking in their societies. So I think it's important for us to meet, whether we are meeting to discuss domestic violence or we're meeting to discuss economic opportunity for women. These are very important issues that bear upon women in each and every Muslim country. In fact, it bears upon women in other countries too. But because women in the Muslim countries have been subjugated for so long, I think it's important for us to give each other strength by joining our voices together.
What can a network like this one that you are talking about tomorrow do that otherwise cannot be done?
We're bringing women together to talk about some of the issues and the values that confront Muslim women. This is an age when many fanatics are trying to deny women their role and their legitimate role in the building of our society. So I think the important thing for me in attending this conference is that I will be meeting with women from different Muslim countries and sharing with them my experiences, and more importantly, learning from them, from their experiences. I hope that we would be able to meet at a regular level and inspire other women and help empower other women through our shared concerns on the issues that confront women within the Muslim world today, whether those issues relate to the lack of employment opportunities for women, whether they relate to discrimination, domestic violence. There are some Muslim countries where you cannot even raise the issue of domestic violence. When I became Prime Minister of Pakistan, I remember that many people did not know that domestic violence was against the law. So then we started running advertisement programs on the mass media explaining to women that their husbands or their fathers or their guardians did not have a right to beat them and use force against them. So there are many issues where we can meet together, work together, and help women together.
In what areas of life do you see the biggest need for a change for women?
Well, I think the biggest need for women comes in the areas of economic opportunity in the Muslim world. There are too few women who get proper opportunity. Women are at the bottom level of the social ladder. One of the issues that I confronted was that, for example, if a woman wants to set up a business, she doesn't get credit. She comes last in the credit line. So it's important for us to help women get credit. But it's also important for us to help women learn about business techniques and how to set up businesses of their own. And this goes down to education. When we look at the education system, we see that there are still in the societies, if we count the literacy, we will see that the male figures for literacy are much higher compared to the schools for the girl child. So I think we really need to focus. If there was a single area that I said I would suggest that we focus on, I would say it's on educating the girl child. It's on educating the girl child, and it's on training teachers, because there's no point in having education if that education isn't going to be of a good quality. So I think what we really need to do is build schools for the girl children and educate teachers who can teach the girl students the highest levels of education, so that the girls come out equipped to make a life of their own. Because if a woman does not have economic independence, she cannot take independent decisions. Where will she go to? If a woman does not have her own right to employment, and if she does not have a job opportunity, if she's a victim of rape, say by a relative in a family household, where will she go to? If she's a victim of domestic violence or verbal abuse, she doesn't have any options. She can't really live her life. So if there's a single issue that I would focus on, I would say that's education.
What is your personal message to the brave women in the Muslim world?
My personal message to brave women in the Muslim world is that you don't have to take no for an answer. You don't have to accept the traditions. You don't have to accept the taboos. You can stand up for yourself. And the rest of us women are going to get together so that we can all help each other to say no to an ugly past, to say no to the fanatics who would take us backwards. And when I say no to the fanatics, I don't think there's anybody more fanatic than the fanatics like the Taliban, who had taken over in Afghanistan to suppress women in the modern age. So I think all of us have to stand up against intolerance, which is trying to subjugate women, stand up against the traditions that are trying to take women backwards, and stand up for women's rights, because by empowering women, I think we will help create a more balanced society, and I think we'll help create a more peaceful society, because women are enormous engines of change in terms of social issues, and I'd really like to see a more peaceful world than the one that we have seen so far.
Thank you, ma'am.